gathering and remembering
It is such an honor to be able to memorialize her name
on the one-year anniversary of the tragedy in Surfside. The First Lady right here in South Florida
It will take all of us to end cancer as we know it.
unveiling a plan to treat cancer. Plus, a big decision for parents.
This is no time for politics. It's about parents being able to do everything they can to keep their children safe.
Choosing whether to vaccinate the youngest Americans. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Amanda Gray.
I'm Michelle Morris. Today is Friday, June 24th, 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Agonizing anniversary this morning marks 1 year since the tragedy in Surfside. A public memorial at the site of the Champlain Tower South condo collapse is scheduled to begin in less than half an hour. It will be the first time since the collapse that the public is invited to the site where the condo building once stood.
The network's Samantha Gutierrez attended a different public event in Doral.
Today marks 1 year since the Surfside tragedy, in which we lost 98 lives, and many families were left devastated. On Wednesday, the city of Doral commemorates a street to one of the victims, Nikki Lansfeld.
This is a bittersweet moment because she's not here, but it's the least that we can do to make sure her legacy and her memory of being just a great member of our community, a young lady who grew up here and was taken much too young.
It's hard to believe what happened. We still can't comprehend. But it is such an honor to be able to memorialize her name permanently in the street where she grew up and then she developed into the person she was.
Today, there will be a memorial at 10 a.m. and it will be the first time the public is invited to the collapse site. Later tonight at 7:30, there will be a ceremonial candle lighting for each victim at St. Joseph Catholic Church. All the communities, including Nikki's, will be able to attend more events to pay tributes to the lives lost in the collapse. Although Nicole Langsfeld was a Surfside resident, she will always be remembered as a big part of the Doral community.
She grew up in that community right across the street or right on this street, which is the reason why this street was chosen.
We would train together for the running marathons on the street together, and she would bring her dogs. Unfortunately, one of her dogs, Capo, was taken with them as well in the collapse. So there are a lot of beautiful memories of just smiles in this street.
Although Nikki is no longer with us, her memory lives on through this commemoration and reminds everybody that passes this street to love and cherish every moment. In Doral, Samantha Gutierrez, South Florida Media Network.
A judge gave final approval yesterday to that billion-dollar settlement for the Surfside victims. A tenth of that, or about $100 million, goes to attorneys' fees. The judge has said he hopes the families of the victims will get their share of the settlement by September.
First Lady Dr. Jill Biden is scheduled to attend the Surfside Public Memorial this morning after making a major announcement about cancer treatment. Yesterday, Dr. Biden visited a healthcare center in West Palm Beach to speak about the latest developments in cancer research and the Biden administration's Cancer Moonshot initiative.
The disease doesn't care who you voted for. It's not a red or a blue issue.
The Cancer Moonshot was created in 2016 by the then Vice President Joe Biden to accelerate cancer research.
In the midst of the gun violence epidemic, legislation is being passed and struck down in D.C. The Senate approved a bipartisan safety bill last night that seeks to provide money to improve school safety programs, as well as implementing so-called red flag laws. Yet not all legislation was upheld. In a controversial Supreme Court ruling, SCOTUS struck down a New York law restricting who can carry a concealed handgun in public.
The Select Committee switches gears today, focusing on the pressures the Department of Justice faced during the 2020 election. Yesterday, the January 6th committee brought in 3 Trump-appointed DOJ officials to speak on how they fought back against the former president's request to overturn the 2020 election. The top official said the voter fraud allegations were unjustified, and they would not give in to his demands. The House will reconvene the hearings of the week of July 11th.
A record python caught in the Everglades. The Conservancy of Southwest Florida caught a 215-pound female Burmese python full of eggs over the winter in Naples. They used a smaller male snake fitted with a transmitter to find the massive female, and it took 3 people to subdue and carry the reptile.
The Marlins and the Rockies carry a tie game until the 8th inning.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
Elected officials shouldn't get in the way and make it more difficult for parents who want their children to be vaccinated.
Children as young as 6 months old can now get the COVID vaccine. It's a big decision for their parents. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music.
Yeah.
Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
It's up to parents now as the federal government clears the way for much younger Americans to be vaccinated against COVID. The President and First Lady and federal health officials have been participating in launch events this week, now that kids from 6 months to 5 years old are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine.
D.C. Bureau reporter Nicole Castaneda has the latest details on the latest updates.
This is a big week for children and their families as 17 million kids are now eligible to get their COVID vaccines. The White House announced 10 million vaccines will be available throughout the country. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden stopped by the D.C. Health COVID-19 Center to join one of the first groups of vaccinated kids.
You guys have any questions for me that aren't medical?
Although all the states have pre-ordered vaccines for kids, Florida is the only state that didn't do so. Governor Ron DeSantis said he recommends against vaccinating children, but said if parents want to, they can get the vaccine through doctors or hospitals.
Let's be clear. Elected officials shouldn't get in the way and make it more difficult for parents who want their children to be vaccinated, who want to protect them and those around them. This is no time for politics. It's about parents being able to do everything they can to keep their children safe.
As CNN said, even though in April only a fifth of the parents indicated they would rush to get their kids vaccinated, CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says she's positive that confidence will grow in parents.
We saw that with adult vaccination when first rolled out. About 35% of people were interested, but we now have nearly 90% of people who've had one dose. So we have work to do with our trusted messengers.
This is why not only the White House is encouraging parents, but doctors are also trying to spread the word that this is safe and necessary. Because even though kids have mild symptoms, they can infect people at higher risk of complications.
We now have more than 18 months of data to show that these vaccinations work, that they're effective, they save lives, they prevent hospitalizations, and they prevent transmission.
CVS and Walgreens announced they will administer Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine to kids under 5 years old. From Washington, D.C., reporting for the South Florida Media Network, Nicole Castañeda.
The Marlins shut out the Rockies to complete a 3-game sweep. The Fish played the Rockies here at home and managed to score their first run in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Although Colorado took the lead in the 3rd, the Marlins came back to win Game 3 2-2 after scoring a run in the 8th inning. Marlins fans can see the Fish play again tonight at home against the New York Mets.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Michelle Morris.
I'm Amanda Gray. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.